questions, ask certain questions, so that we are able to express it in the later session which follows. The first question that we would like to ask is the mic working? So the first question that we would like to ask is itself, how do we start looking at the problem? How do we start looking at this problem? And one way in which, this is my personal view, looking at this problem would be to start from the end point itself. We came across a lady and a son, perhaps 3 years back, I think 2010 or so. They live in Madhya Pradesh. We didn't realize what is it exactly when we met them. But imagine a mother and a son getting affected with bone deformities in a matter of 5 or 6 years. This was 2010. Probably they started getting affected from 2005 onwards and slowly getting into a crippled kind of stage. And they don't know what exactly this is. They are told by people that this might be because of water, which they drink, which they happily drink in fact, very nicely. And it's something which they don't understand. We started asking questions of why this really happened. Is this something which is new to us? Is this something which is already known to people? And so many other people, in so many other ways, as we will find from each other, in which a water problem can affect people. But is this something new? Is this a problem which is known to people before? And the answer seems to be that it is actually known from long time back. Maybe people at the back might not be able to read the text over here. But the reason why I put it up is that in 1937, when there were these British surgeons who were traveling across India and observing patients in Andhra Pradesh, they were already talking about 40 years or more exposure of fluoride. We don't really know if it's true. But in 1937, we were already talking about 40 years more of fluoride. So it seems that it's an old problem. Okay. 1940. Okay. 1940, there are others who had already started making maps of fluoride in the country. This is 1940. They have already started putting areas into the country which might be endemic to fluorosis. Again, coastal Andhra Pradesh. 1970, the World Health Organization accepts that fluoride is a problem affecting human health. And there is a publication in which there were around close to 100 medical specialists across that. So it seems that the problem is known, and known from quite some time back. So if you look at the history for the past 100 years, it seems to be that starting from something like 1905, 1910, fluoride was actually considered to be beneficial to dental caries, to prevention of dental caries in teeth. There were two doctors, one among them who popularized it much more, Dr. Dean. Later on, resulting in fluoridation of water, starting from the end of World War something like 1945 or so. But then a parallel history also was happening at the same time. Countries like India, which were observing harmful effects of fluoride, starting from 1930s and late 1930s, starting from cattle. In fact, the first observation, the initial observations, were not always from human beings, but that cattle were getting affected with fluoride and fluorosis. Then we also had industrial fluorosis in India. Industrial fluorosis in which inhalation of fluoride started causing various forms of skeletal fluorosis. And then once the news spread that this sort of a problem is really appearing because of water in Uttar Pradesh, all these are very different geological formations which also report fluoride. And this is a question which a lot of people are asking, why is fluoride found in a lot of different formations spread across the country? A second different perspective of looking at this problem is that the more groundwater use expands in the country, the more development, the more exploitation of water resources happens in the country, the more we are having fluoride. And a lot of people contest this observation too. This is a map produced by the Central Groundwater Board, periodically once in 5 or 10 years. And this map is at a block level, looking at the level of groundwater exploitation. Now there are people who say that the real status of groundwater exploitation in India is far worse than this, but this is an indicative map. which roughly says the western and southern part of India are more affected, and so on. If you look at this, and the next map of the country also made by the Central Groundwater Board way back in 98, 99, which looks at the fluoride distributions of the country, there is some similarity, which makes then people comment that groundwater exploitation might also be connected with the fluoride distributions of the country. But then the real fluoride distributions, a lot of you would say, oh, where is that village in Jharkhand? Where is that village in Madhya Pradesh or Assam? There are so many places over here which we know are fluoride affected are not represented on this map. So part of the problem, one might really ask, is there really information to say what is the fluoride distribution of the country? How many people are really affected? How many millions are exposed to fluoride? Where is the data? Where is the information? And how much of it do we really trust? Is that part of the problem? Data and information. Another aspect which we feel is extremely important is the fluoride issue. Starting from 70s and 80s, there have been large programs in part of the country to wean people away from shallow sources of drinking water. And the reason was that shallow sources of drinking water are more affected with bacterial or biological contamination of water, and that's the reason we need to go to deeper sources. And our sanitation system as it exists even today prevents a lot of people from accessing shallow waters, even though a lot of them might have less amounts of fluoride, not necessarily. It's not a blanket statement that shallow waters would have less fluoride, but even though it would have. So there is also a linkage with shallow waters getting contaminated and people having to go towards deeper sources of fluoride. This is about the fluoride issue. So these are different perspectives of the fluoride issue itself. What about fluorosis, the disease itself? As many of us also expressed, a growing problem in the country, very different from the 30s and 40s, is the cases of juvenile fluorosis and pregnant women getting affected with fluorosis. Why is that happening? So two different perspectives on fluorosis problem. First perspective is something that we saw related to water, heavy groundwater use, irrigation use, and then also sanitation driving us deeper. But then the second cause is what a lot of people express today about malnutrition in the health aspect. Three questions. How many Indians in the country drink a glass of milk daily? How many of us have an egg daily? And how many of us have leafy green vegetables? So why would this be connected to fluoride issue, to fluorosis issue? The National Institute of Nutrition survey in 2002 across the country points out that most of our states are heavily deficient in calcium nutrition. If you observe this particular column here, if you take 800 milligrams or 1000 milligrams per day as the requirement of calcium for an adult human being, and across the state, across the country, you have high deficiencies of calcium. Now, how is this related to fluoride? There is a lot of evidence, a lot of research to show. A lot of people in this room have been working on this about different connections of fluorosis with malnutrition related problems. One is calcium deficiencies being caused by fluoride related problems, and calcium deficiencies increasing fluoride related problems. Iron, the fact that iron absorption is reduced in the body and then anemia coming out of it, that is an area in which a lot of us have been working, a lot of other relations with it. So it's health and nutrition a perspective in which some of us might be interested to look at the problem. And as we see, a lot of work has happened over the years, a lot of interesting innovations. Many of us who are in this room have participated in many of these interesting innovations, medical research and geological research in the early 30s to 60s, and then water treatment based on the Nalgonda technique, domestic filters, pipe water supply programs, reverse osmosis, RO based filters coming up in 2000s, and so gradual recognition in public health, rainwater harvesting coming about as a possibility, recharge, and so many other things. People talking now about water, health, and different other things that we should together. If all these things are happening, the question which comes to all of us is, why is problem still continuing? Why have the larger efforts not sustained? What are the bottlenecks? And what do you feel are the large problems affecting this sector? Or are there still other ways of looking at this problem that some of you might come up with? Maybe it's all just about knowing the concepts of safe water, just communicating the problem well. Maybe there are newer technologies in this information age which can help us go towards the problem. Just come about the simple ideas such as rainwater harvesting, simple nutrition, and and various other smaller solutions which might be helpful for reducing fluoride. I still come back again to the problem that we started with. And as I spoke with one of you last week about a very different issue, is that each of us might have our own way of cutting the pie. And it's just our way of looking at problems. The question for us is, what is our perspective? What is the problem that we feel passionate about from our own personal life and career and daily life? And also about what is it that we feel a larger group should focus on? These are the two questions. And we felt that this is something on which each of us has a lot to say. And it's important that each of us is able to express what they wish to say. It's difficult to have a larger group as this, with around 50 people in a single group. And we suggest that we have smaller groups to take forward this discussion, to bring about what are the perspectives in which we look at the problem. We suggested 4 persons among you as moderators for this discussion, and they also have a group of participants with each of them. It's Amitanshu Acharya, Avinash Krishnamurthy, Vijayalakshmi, and Nitya Jacob, as 4 of the moderators who will be helped by reporters actually carry the group forward in a conversation about defining perspective on fluorides. So we wish the moderators to then take it forward along with the report.